I'm going to jump right to it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life now. You guys heard a few things, but I want to start at the beginning. I was born in 29 Palms, California. It was a military base because my dad, he was a Marine. My dad was actually many things. He was not only a Marine, he was a barber. He was a young entrepreneur. He started his own barbershop when he was about in his late 20s. He was also a preacher, which makes me a preacher's kid. So forget what you heard. I'm not like anything like that. Eventually, my dad would take this life experience and become very successful at what he was doing. And I can't tell the story about or mention my dad being a barber without telling you guys one funny story. So when I was little, I was about 7 years old. My dad would have people come in and out of the barbershop every day. 20 people a day would come in and get a jerry curl. Do y'all know what a jerry curl is? It's horrible, okay? It is like a curly perm, but it's really wet, and they spray it with activator, and it's juicy, and it drips all over your shirt and people's couches. It's just really bad, okay? But I really wanted one. I needed one. So every day I would say, Daddy, oh, Daddy, please. Oh, please, Daddy. Can I have a jerry curl? Can I have a jerry curl? Can I have a jerry curl? He'd say, no, Dehacia. That's my government name. I cannot leave this room. He'd say, no, Dehacia, you cannot have a jerry curl. But Daddy, please. He said, no. I said, oh, man, okay. Well, I go and dust my little feelings off. Come back the next day. Daddy, please. Daddy, please. Daddy, please. Can I have a jerry curl, please? He said, no. Go sit down. You're going to get whooping, huh? Okay. So, still, the next day, I never stopped. Daddy, please can I have a jerry curl. Finally, one day, he just broke down, or I got on his last nerve. I don't know, but he ended up saying, come on, girl, yeah. I said, oh, Jesus, oh my goodness, I'm about to get a jerry curl. I jumped in that chair, y'all. I was so excited. I was just, oh my gosh, my heart was full. Okay, I got my yes. So I sat there, and he put that perm in, put those rollers in, and closed the shop up. We jumped in the car, drove home with it in my hair. Got to the house, he washed it out in the tub, and y'all, let me tell you, when my hair was done, oh, honey, you could not tell me nothing. Oh, I shook it, and I shook, and I shook all night long. I shook it till it shook off, honey. I went to sleep that night, before I went to bed, I thanked my daddy as many times as I had asked him, thank you, Daddy, I love you so much, thank you, I appreciate you, oh my God, thank you so much. And went to sleep on cloud 9. Now, I woke up the next morning to go admire myself in the mirror and do a little bit more playing in my hair, and it started coming out by the handfuls, y'all. Oh, one after the other. Now, I left out the part of the story, my mama almost went into cardiac arrest when she found out he put a perm in my hair. And let's just say she told him he was going to have a one-way trip to visit Jesus. She didn't go through with the threat because he was so hurt that all my hair fell out. That was punishment enough, right? So I tell that story because it reminds me of the very first time when I was relentless about achieving something. Now, I know it's not a big deal, it was just a perm, but I got told no more times than I can remember. He said, no, and every time I just dust myself back off and come back there, please. Kept coming back. No, it didn't faze me, I just kept coming back. So when I finally got that yes, oh my goodness. Oh, it felt so good. And once I got a little taste of that, it stuck with me for the rest of my life. I kept going after things that way with a relentless perseverance, just kept trying to get towards things and get towards my goals. And no matter how many things are coming away or how many times I got told no, I just always kept coming back no, because when I get that yes, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, the feeling is so good. I also tell that story because it reminds me of one of the fondest memories I have of my dad. His life took a pivotal point not too long after that situation. My dad and my mom would get a divorce, and this would send him into some type of emotional, just, I guess, sadness. I don't know if he was depressed or ashamed, or I'm not sure what it was, but somewhere in that journey, in that part of his life, he made some choices. And he decided that he was going to start interacting with people that were never in his circle. And he would go from a military man, a preacher, a husband, a father, business owner, to a drug addict in Arizona State Penitentiary for doing drug addict-like things. He spent a good chunk of his life in that prison. Now, that, as an adult, when I think about that and I say, dang, how unfortunate is that for somebody who had so much going, they're already 30 years old, what would turn your life so dramatically? I think about this very important thing as I reflect back on that. Tomorrow can be so very different from today. The choices you make today can have a great, dramatic, positive, or dramatic impact on tomorrow. So I'm always very careful about the choices that I make, because I saw the consequences can be a little bit harsh. And I say a little bit to be kind. My dad's unfortunate life turn would cause him not only to lose his relationship with me and my older brother, but he also lost his freedom. And I ran professional for 13 years. Not only did my dad miss every important event of my entire life, including high school graduation, he also missed every single race. Every single race that I ran for 13 years. Now these tears, don't let them fool you. They're not because I'm sad, it's because I'm strong. The tears of that just made me stronger. I promise you, it's just strength. Sometimes they come out your eyes. So, while that happened to my dad, the choices he made, I still forgive him, because it doesn't do me any good to be angry. It won't do you any good to carry anger or frustration or anything towards anybody, because forgiveness will give you peace. I knew this part was going to be hard, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm a very honest speaker, so you'll get the truth. I'm not mad at him. I forgive him. And I basically have to thank him for one very good choice that he made. And that was introducing me to God Almighty. Now, when he brought God into my life as a child, when him and my mom introduced me to God in my life as a child, it became the foundation of who I am. And that opened the door for me to recognize God as the person who granted me the gifts and my talents. So that's what brings me to my story about running, y'all. When I was younger, I knew I could run. I knew from a very young age I was fast. If I didn't like running, who does? It's tired, it's hot outside, why would you want to do it? I was more of an indoor sports kid. I like basketball, so I was a basketball kid. My dreams and goals were nowhere near going to the Olympics or doing anything related to that. I was basically setting myself up and aligning myself to attend college to play basketball. That's what I wanted to do. And in doing that, it was inevitable and undeniable that I was fast. Every time anybody saw me run, they said, "Oh, girl, you need to run track." I said, "I don't like track, I do basketball." And they say, "But you're fast." I said, "No, I'm fast on the basketball court." So I ran in high school, and I was very good. I was state champion here in Georgia. And it wasn't something that I loved, though. It was just still something I did. And I struggled with it because I didn't truly have, it wasn't in my heart to do. Basketball was my heart, so I struggled with it. But one day I was sitting out at Panthersville Stadium, which is a few minutes from where I live, and I made a promise to God. Because somehow it became clear to me, I was like, why am I fast? It's like, why do I have this gift? Why do I have this talent? I said, well, God gave it to me for a reason, so I better not waste it. I said, let me go ahead and see what I can do. And I made a promise to God. I said, I will run until I cannot run anymore. I made that promise when I was 17 years old. I will run until I cannot run anymore. Now, I don't know why I said that, because it took me 15 years to stop running. But I made that promise, and it was the best decision I ever made. Using my gift of running has given me many things. It has been a true blessing. I've traveled to 68 different international cities and 46 different international countries. That doesn't even include anywhere in the U.S., and I've been all over the U.S. And let me tell y'all the kicker. I didn't pay for but 2 of those trips. The gift of running also paid for me to have a full scholarship to the University of Tennessee, where my mom did not have the money to provide for out-of-state tuition. The other gift that running has given me. So I signed a 5-year contract when I was 20 years old with Adidas. 6-figure deal. It's running, using my gift. I became the first female athlete at the University of Tennessee to turn professional before completing 4 years of eligibility. They didn't even know what to do with me, y'all. They put me in a press conference with the football players. I was like...
Hi, yes, I'm not retired in school. Thank you. For sports, thank you.
But I sure as heck made Adidas pay for that last year of college. Won't he do it? No one has ever had any 4-year college before. Had even gone to a major university before. But I became the first, not only female athlete, but even out of the male athletes, I became the first athlete at the University of Tennessee to turn professional early and still get their degree on time. Most people get the money and they get the contract and they go off and say, I'll finish school later, I'm gonna focus on my career right now. I'll finish later. And they be like 38 and they still haven't finished. And they be like, no, I'm gonna do it. Just, right now I got the kids and okay, well, hey, should've did it when you were doing it. So, I finished my last year of college on time, graduated class of 2005. I just told my age. Don't want no trouble out of y'all. Just because something didn't come before you doesn't mean that it can't start with you. Don't be afraid to break the chains of the past to start a new beginning. Be the reason that the future that comes after you is climbing higher and going farther. Don't be afraid to set a new bar. I don't care if nobody's done it before you. Be the first to do it. Moreover, the gift of running has most importantly taught me so much about life. For the years that I ran, I may have lost more races than I won, but I learned 7, and I'm sure there's more, but 7 very important things stand out to me. 7 is a powerful number. 1, loss is inevitable. If you guys think that you're going to go through life without ever losing, I got news for you today. It's not going to happen. Loss is something that's a part of life. You're going to lose in some type of way. You might lose money, you might lose your car, you might lose your house, you might lose a friend, you might lose a boyfriend, you might lose a girlfriend, you might lose a dog, you might lose a loved one. Loss is a part of life. There's no escaping it. So when it happens, you need to know that when you come out on the other side, and notice I said when you come out on the other side, you will have been made stronger, and you will have been made wiser. Something good will be made in you because of the loss that you suffered. 2, don't fear failure, because if you are too afraid to try, you have already failed. You may not realize it at the time. You may think because you didn't try it and you didn't feel the failure that somehow you've escaped failure. But I got news for you. One day you'll wake up, and it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, maybe 30 years from now, you'll wake up and you'll be experiencing something called regret. Now see, failure only lasts a short time. Regret can last you a lifetime. I take the odds on trying to fail and get back up and try again. Okay. 3, failure, loss, and disappointment can all be used as motivation and transformed into positive power. When African-American Lewis Howard Lattimore and Thomas Edison created the light bulb, they failed 1,000 times, you guys. 1,000 times trying to create the light bulb that we use every day. Thank goodness they didn't quit. When Thomas Edison was asked how did he feel about failing 1,000 times, he said, "Oh, I didn't fail 1,000 times. It took 1,000 steps to get to the light bulb." It's all about perspective. See, failure and loss help me to understand what I need to do in order to win. You have to have a never give up mentality and use setbacks as the stepping stones to your success. In 2008, I had a knee injury that required surgery, which despite the injury, I made the 2008 Olympic team with a hole in my femur bone, you guys. This injury was supposed to end my career. But against all odds, I made the Olympic team, and that's when I learned you don't have to have everything physically working properly or at 100% capacity to overcome many things when you can use your mental strength. Mental strength is very powerful. It can help you get through many obstacles, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. If you ever look at any Paralympians, they are proof of every day that you don't have to have it physically all together to be able to succeed at what you try to do. Mental strength is very powerful. Number 5, I learned that there are powerful forces all around us, and we have access to them every day. Pressure is positive power. Confidence is positive power. Positivity is positive power. And belief is positive power. And progress is positive power. We have access to these things every day. Make sure you're using them even when they seem like they're uncomfortable. Let that be motivation to you. But I want to tell you about a few other positive forces that work around us as well. There's negativity, there's fear, and there's doubt. Now see, these are all very powerful forces, but it's how you let them integrate into your life that determines how they affect you. So when those things come into your life, I can tell you one thing that's more powerful than fear and doubt. Belief. Belief is the omega of power. When you believe, there's not much that you cannot obtain and overcome. Belief needs to be the starting point of your day, of your life. Number 6, one of the most important lessons I learned is that you cannot always control the outcome of what you're trying to do, but you can control your output. What you put out is in your control. Always give your best no matter the outcome, and you will never be disappointed with yourself. In 2012, coming back from the knee surgery that was supposed to end my career, I struggled for 3 years, y'all. I failed. I lost every race I ran for 3 years after the knee surgery. People told me I should retire. They said you should hang it up, you should quit. It's over. Trotter, who? It's a wrap. That surgery is done her, and she's finished. But something in me kept telling me, don't you give up. Don't you quit. I kept telling myself, I can, I must, I will. You guys say it, I can. Oh, that was good. I never had nobody relay the whole thing back. Ooh, y'all look sharp. Repeat after me, I can, I must, I will. I don't believe y'all yet. Say it again with some passion. I can, I must, I will. Remember that, because it can help you get through some really difficult times in your life when you think you might be giving up on yourself. Say, I can, I must, I will. That became the focus and the center point of my life as the words encouraged me. And I also said these very important words: I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Now that was the last thing I said before I took off on the starting line in the 2012 Olympic Games in the 400-meter finals, where they said I would never be. They said I would never run that fast again. That after that surgery, it was impossible to come back and run anything like I used to. But in the 2012 Olympic Games, I went in to get the gold, y'all. I ran as hard as I could. I gave everything I had. And the last thing I uttered, I promise you can go YouTube it today, the last thing the camera saw my mouth say is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Speak over the negativity and the voices and the chaos, and remind yourself what you're capable of. So I went out to that race. I ran a time of 49.72 for the 1 lap around the track. Now, 49.72 was not my fastest time of my career. 49.64 was. But if you ask me, 49.64 and 49.72 is pretty close. So that's kind of running like I used to. So I broke down those barriers and broke down those odds. So when I think about the bronze medal that I obtained in the 2012 Olympic Games, when most people would have said I shouldn't even be there, I always remember that this taught me the true definition. This medal taught me the true definition of a champion, because I always thought it was the person who crossed the finish line first. But I realized by that definition, we're a world full of losers. So that can't be true. I realized that the definition of a champion is a person that will never give up, who will keep fighting, no matter how hard the road may get, who will keep pushing, no matter how many people tell them that they can't, or that they won't, that they'll never. Is the person that says, I can, I must, I will, and keeps fighting no matter how difficult the situation may seem. That's the definition of a champion. And that's why when I cross the finish line in third, I will never feel disappointment. I'm extremely proud of myself. And this medal is all about perspective, because it's simply a different shade of gold. Now, last but not least, I learned that life may be a little rough with you along the way. I would love to tell you that when you go through life, there's going to be daisies and cotton balls patting you from everything that can hurt you throughout life, and the struggle is just going to be, whew, yeah, right, you're just going to breeze through. Let me show y'all something real quick. What you do? It's terrible, right? My goodness, it's beat down, it's broken, looks like it's been kicked a little bit, dropped. Life really did a number on this box, wouldn't you agree? Oh my goodness. Sometimes that's really how it is. You go through and you maybe on the outside get a little beat up. Life will kind of throw you a few hard balls. But at the end of the day, it's not really about what's on the outside. Because on the inside is gold. The potential inside you and what you're capable of will always be golden. Don't let the outside of what happens to life do to you take away the very most important thing is what's inside of you and what's in your heart. Okay? Remember that, because it might get rough. Now, in conclusion, I want to ask you guys to look around this gymnasium. Go ahead, stand up, look around. I want you guys to give an applause and a round of applause to the people in this room that have helped you get to those seats today. Thank your mom, thank your dad, thank your uncle, the cousin, the auntie, the guardian, these teachers that have helped you get to this point today. We're celebrating them for just a moment. But I also want to ask you guys to help me celebrate someone that's come, that still supports me every day. And is still supporting me for I don't know how many years, but my mom, she's here today. Mom, wave at everybody, please. She's the reason that I became, you guys can sit down, thank you. She's the reason that I became the woman that I am today. And it was with her love and support that I was able to succeed at the greatest level of sport and also succeed in life. I know my story didn't mention a lot about her because there's really not enough paper to go down for what she's done and who she's been. and how much she's helped and inspired me to be my best. So the sacrifices she's made for me are countless. And I'll never forget you for that, Mom. So thank you. That's good. Graduations are like weddings. I'm just a mess. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I believe that when you use your gifts, it's like using a superpower. Go out into this world. Be super. Be fearless. Be honorable. And be champions at everything you do. And that's what's going to help you get to your gold medal moments in your life. Congratulations, class of 2019. Y'all did it.